Daniel called from county jail that afternoon, voice small like the boy he used to be. "Mom, please, bail, I'll explain." I let him talk until he ran out of words, then said, "You explained enough when you lit the match." Click. Vanessa tried next from the women's block, screaming threats until the guard took the phone. I never picked up again. Bail hearing was set for the following week. Prosecutor asking $20 million each. They didn't have $20. I made sure of that. Every account frozen, every credit card canceled, every offshore shell company collapsed overnight. I stood in the courtroom back row when they brought them in, Daniel in orange, Vanessa in gray, both thinner, both already broken. The judge denied bail, called them flight risks and dangers to the community, specifically to me. Vanessa locked eyes with me across the room and mouthed, "You will burn." I smiled, mouthed back, "Never." The trial started 30 days later, media circus outside, metal detectors inside. I wore the same black suit I wore when I buried Daniel's father, sat front row every day, never missed a minute. Prosecutor played the recordings on a loop, Daniel's voice clear as glass, planning my death, Vanessa laughing about how much the insurance payout would buy in diamonds. Defense tried to paint me as the controlling mother-in-law who drove them to desperation. I took the stand calm, looked the jury in the eyes, and told them exactly how many times I bailed my son out of debt, how many cars I bought, how many houses, how many chances. Total silence when I said the last one cost me almost getting burned alive. Jury took 3 hours. Guilty on every count, attempted murder, arson, conspiracy, fraud, the list longer than my arm. Judge sentenced them to life without parole, special circumstances because they targeted a senior for financial gain. Daniel collapsed when the gavel fell. Vanessa didn't blink, just stared at me like she was still counting the money she would never touch. I walked out of the courthouse into flash bulbs and shouting reporters, stopped at the top step, looked straight into the cameras and said, "My son and his wife tried to murder me for $3 billion. They failed. The money is mine, the house is mine, my life is mine, and they will die in cages." Then I got in the car and never looked back. 6 months later, I sold the estate, donated the land to the fire department for training, built a smaller house on the coast with walls of glass and no panic room. I kept one thing from the old place, the leather armchair I sat in the night they came home to find me waiting. I put it by the window facing the ocean, poured the same 1937 Macallan every sunset, and toasted the empty horizon. They thought they were burning an old woman. They burned themselves to ash instead. And every night I sleep with the windows open, $3 billion safe. No son, no daughter-in-law, no one left to lock my door ever again.
Today, I'm going to tell you the story of the day my own daughter-in-law tried to steal $3 billion from me, actually locked me inside my own house, and planned to burn the entire place down to erase the evidence. It started with the softest voice you ever heard. "Sleep well, Mother," my son Daniel whispered, clicking the deadbolt from the outside. Through the steel slit, I watched him and his wife Vanessa empty 40 red cans of gasoline around every wall, every window, every rose bush I planted the week he was born. Daniel struck the match himself, dropped it into the trail, and the blue flame sprinted toward the panic room door like it had an appointment with my bones. Their plan was textbook perfect. Lock the old lady in, torch the house, blame faulty wiring, reroute $3 billion from the family trusts before sunrise, collect the $20 million life insurance policy they took out on me last Christmas, cry pretty at the memorial, live like royalty forever. Except 5 hours earlier, I had already woken up from the fake heart attack they staged, moved every cent into an irrevocable account only I could touch, and called Fire Marshal Ray Caldwell, the same man who once dragged my son out of a burning car when he was 17. "Ray, my son Daniel and his wife Vanessa just locked me in. They're pouring gasoline right now. Bring hell with you." He answered with sirens already screaming. Tell me from where you watching and subscribe to me for more stories. Now back to it. I sat in the dark panic room, pulse steady, flare gun loaded with the single magnesium round Daniel never knew existed. I heard their SUV return from the fake hospital benefit gala, tires crawling slow like they were tasting the smoke they expected. Vanessa's heels stabbed the marble straight to the monitor she thought I was too old to understand. She saw 40 police vehicles sealing every exit and hissed, "The old bitch is awake." Daniel's voice cracked like cheap glass. "We lit the fuse. It's too late." Vanessa laughed, sharp enough to cut diamonds. "Then we stand outside and watch her cook." They walked into the living room expecting smoke and screams and my voice begging through the steel. Instead, every light in the house detonated on at once. I sat dead center in the leather armchair, legs crossed, silk robe untouched. Fire Marshal Ray Caldwell stood on my left, badge flashing like a blade. 12 deputies fanned out behind me, rifles raised. 4 detectives held the still dripping gasoline cans, Daniel and Vanessa's prints glowing neon under the black light Ray had waiting. "Looking for someone?" I asked. Vanessa dropped her diamond clutch. Glass vials of the heart-slowing drug she'd been slipping into my tea for 9 months shattered across the floor. Daniel went the color of dead ash. Ray held up the tablet showing live drone footage of them pouring, lighting, laughing, Daniel's own face clear as day when he kissed the match before dropping it. Attempted murder in the first degree, arson in the first degree, conspiracy, wire fraud, insurance fraud, forgery, drug trafficking. The list is still growing, Ray said, calm as Sunday. Detective Mills stepped forward, cuffs singing open. Daniel tried to bolt, slammed face first into a deputy's fist, blood spraying the white sofa he picked out himself. Vanessa screamed, clawed an officer's cheek, sank her teeth into another's wrist until blood ran down her chin. 5 deputies tackled her, dress ripping to the waist, diamonds scattering like hail. I stood slow, walked over, looked down at my son bleeding on my Persian rug. "The $3 billion moved to my new account 7 hours ago. You lit the wrong fire tonight."
Daniel looked up, nose shattered, eyes wild with animal panic. "Mom, please, it was her." Vanessa spat blood at my bare feet. "You dried-up old cunt, you deserve every flame." Ray twisted her arms higher until bones creaked and she shrieked. Outside, 8 fire trucks hosed down the gasoline river, steam rising white under floodlights. The house never even blistered. I turned to the detective holding the forged will they planted in my safe. My signature copied so well, it fooled the notary they bribed. "Add forgery," I said. He nodded. Daniel started sobbing my name like he did when he was 7 and scared of thunder. I didn't move. Vanessa kept screaming threats until they shoved her head first into the back of a cruiser, doors slamming on her voice like a coffin lid. I walked out onto the porch in my robe and slippers, night air cool on my skin, and watched the convoy disappear, red and blue lights swallowed by the trees. Ray handed me his jacket. $3 billion still yours, Evelyn?" I looked at the house, standing untouched, money untouchable, son gone forever. "Every single dollar," I said, "and now nobody alive who can steal it." He gave the small, sad smile he used when he pulled Daniel from that car fire years ago. "You okay?" I listened to the crickets start up again, felt 45 years of pretending lift off my shoulders. "I'm free," I answered. I turned back inside, poured the 1937 Macallan Daniel always said was wasted on an old woman, raised the glass to the empty house, and toasted the silence. They thought they were burning their mother for money. They burned themselves to nothing instead. And I slept with every door unlocked, $3 billion warm and safe, no son left to kiss me goodnight ever again. The next morning, the bank chairman called personally, voice shaking. "Mrs. Harrington, the attempted transfer from the Caymans was blocked at 3:12 a.m. All $3 billion is secure in the new trust. Sole signatory you, unbreakable for 100 years. I thanked him, hung up, and watched the news helicopters circle the estate like vultures. Reporters screamed questions over the gates. I ignored them, walked to the panic room, opened the hidden safe they never found. Inside were the recordings I started the day Vanessa moved in. Every conversation, every plan, every time Daniel said, "Once she's gone," while smiling at me across the dinner table. I mailed copies to the district attorney, the FBI, every major network, and the insurance company with a note, "Play it unedited." By noon, the footage was everywhere. Daniel's own voice saying she won't feel much after the first minute, while Vanessa laughed and counted imaginary money.